Are you one of those people that prides themselves on their knowledge about which cities have the highest murder rate? I know I am. Are you that friend that everyone goes to when they want to know what city they're most likely to have their off button pushed? If you said yes, you might want to watch today's video because things are changing. Today we're looking at the cities that have had their murder rate drop in recent years. I know that sounds kind of strange, especially if you watch cable news. Crime rates are supposed to be going up. We're supposed to be just dying in the streets. Yeah, it's just not the case in a lot of big cities. The fact is, most major cities have seen their murder rate cut down from 20 to 60%. Don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of places like Detroit and Chicago that have a murder rate that's either staying where it is or actually going up, but more cities than not are actually seeing their murder rate go down. In this video, we're listing the 10 cities that saw the highest percentage drop from 2021 to 2022. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia is one of those cities we just don't talk that much about on this channel. Don't know why, it never seems to come up. My niece lived there for a while in a really nice neighborhood, but apparently they have some really bad neighborhoods in Richmond. They say really bad, don't compare them to Detroit, Southside Chicago. Those are horrible. Or Gary, Indiana for that matter. But bad for Richmond, Virginia. Everyone always talks about the Alexandria, Fairfax, and Arlington area of Virginia, which is up there by Washington, D.C. Richmond is south of Washington, D.C., a little bit inland from the Chesapeake Bay. The city itself has 226,000 residents, with the entire metro area having about 1.2 million. I can't believe I feel the need to explain this to you again because I get all kinds of emails. Why do you keep saying the metro area? Or what does metro area mean? Metro area is the city and the surrounding suburbs. Example, Los Angeles. There's Los Angeles City, but one of the suburbs is Santa Monica. Hollywood is in the Los Angeles metro area, and it's a suburb. Got it? For a few years, the crime rate overall had been rising in Richmond. The last few years, it's gone down. 90 lives were lost to homicide in Richmond in 2021. According to the city's major crime unit, that's the most homicides they've had since 2004. Well, it got better. In 2022, they only lost 57 people to homicide. That means their murder rate is down 36.67%. Number 9, Shreveport, Louisiana. Shreveport, like most cities in Louisiana, is a complete shit show. They've got high crime, they've got high poverty. The only time people ever show up to downtown Shreveport is when they have to appear at a hearing or get that little ankle bracelet on so you don't have to go back to jail. Shreveport is on the northwest side of Louisiana, not too far from the Texas border. The city of Shreveport has a population of about 187,000 residents, with the metro area having just under 400,000. In 2021, 69 people were lost to homicide. That dropped in 2022, 43, giving them a drop of 37.68%. Number 8, Syracuse, New York. Now, I know for a fact Syracuse has been doing a lot of things to change what's going on in their city. I mean, they don't want to turn into Buffalo, New York, right? Nobody wants to turn into Buffalo, New York. Syracuse is the capital of New York State, and it sits just south of Lake Ontario. And they have a population of about 148,000 residents, with the metro area having a little over 660,000. And stop typing. The capital of New York is actually Albany. All right, who is leaving the comment? Come on, fess up, put it down in the comment section below. Actually, I don't mind Syracuse, even though the few times I've been there, they're in the middle of a serious snowstorm. 32 people lost their life to homicide in Syracuse in 2021, and that dropped down to 19 in 2022. That is a drop of 37.43%. Number 7, Flint, Michigan. Yes, Flint, Michigan is so much more than a water crisis. They've got high crime, serious poverty, freezing weather, and a lot of people that have trash bags and duct tape as a substitute to a passenger window. Flint, Michigan sits north of Detroit and east of Grand Rapids. Flint has a population of about 81,000 residents, with the entire metro area having 404,000 residents. In 2021, Flint, Michigan lost 67 residents to homicide. In 2022, that number dropped down to 39. That's a drop of 43.75%. Number 6, Charleston, South Carolina. Surprise, surprise. Charleston made a list it's a negative list, but it's also a positive list. They didn't have that many murders. Charleston is in what they call the low country of South Carolina. It sits about the middle of the state on the coast. So it's on the eastern side of the state, but it's right there in the middle between Savannah, Georgia, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Charleston has a population of about 150,000 residents with about 799,000 in the metro area. And if you want to know what they call themselves, they're Charlestonians. Charleston lost 16 people to homicide in 2021. In 2022, they only lost 9. That's a drop of 43.75%. Now, that's pretty low, and I know we're going to have some comments about that number's not accurate because there's a bunch of missing people. Every city has missing people, and until a body shows up with some holes in it, it's just a missing person or some other type of damage. Number 5, Mesa, Arizona. Mesa, Arizona is a suburb of Phoenix, and it sits just to the east of downtown Phoenix. The city of Mesa has a population of about 500,000 residents, with the Phoenix metro area having about 4.8 million. Mesa had a good drop, but there is one other city in the Phoenix metro area that had a better drop, and that's Chandler. They just really didn't have enough murders to make this list, I'll tell you anyway. Glendale, Arizona in 2021 had 1 murder. In 2022, they didn't have any. Just not like a big enough sample size, so I excluded them from this list. But Mesa, Arizona in 2021 had 34 homicides. In 2022, that dropped down to 19. That's a 44.12% drop, so that's not bad at all. Number 4, New Haven, Connecticut. New Haven, Connecticut's slogan should be, "We're not as bad as Hartford." And that's the truth. Hartford's actually going the other direction when it comes to this stat. New Haven has a population of about 134,000 residents, with the entire metro area having about 862,000. I almost said 862 million. That would have confused some people. New Haven sits on the Long Island Sound, right across from the rural part of Long Island, New York. That has always cracked me up. Long Island and New York in general, it's known for being overpopulated and just crowded. But then on the same island, not too far away, you got some nice rural areas. New Haven is also home to Yale University. I actually had a lieutenant when I first got in the Army that was from Yale, and I remember when he was introducing himself to another lieutenant, the lieutenant asked him, he's all, "Where'd you go to school?" And he's all, "Yale." And he goes, "Did you get kicked out? Why are you in the Army?" You normally don't get a lot of Ivy League dudes in the Army. In 2021, 26 New Haven residents were victims of homicide. In 2022, that number dropped down to 14, which means their change was a 46.15% drop. Number 3, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wayne's about the only city I would move to in Indiana, even though I do love the name of one of their other cities, Terre Haute. I don't know why I love that name. Indiana's always cracked me up. It's like they have no originality with their names. Terre Haute and Indianapolis are about the only ones. They've got a Lafayette, just like Louisiana. They've got a Brazil. They've got a Portland. They've got a Decatur. They've got a Bluffton, just like South Carolina. They have a Richmond, just like Virginia. They have a Columbus, which isn't too far from Nashville. They have a Jasper, just like Wyoming, but I'm sure Jasper, Indiana was there first. They have a Madison, just like Wisconsin. And of course, they got Santa Claus. I think they're the only ones with a Santa Claus. But Fort Wayne is in the northeast corner of Indiana. It has a population of about 265,000, with their entire metro area having about 423,000. Now, they have a lot of rural, new communities, which are right outside of the metro area, which if you counted those, it might bring them up close to 600,000. Side note, they also have a New Haven, just like Connecticut. In 2021, Fort Wayne saw 40 homicides. In 2022, that dropped down to 20 homicides, giving them a drop of 50%. Bravo, Fort Wayne. Number 2, Wilmington, Delaware. Yes, put your teeth back in your mouth. I said Wilmington, Delaware. So you're about to be confused, and I'm going to have to explain this to you. So here we go. This whole video is based on the city itself, not the metro area. Wilmington has a huge metro area, but the city itself is really not that big. They only have 70,000 residents. The metro area has over 6 million. The amount of murders in the entire metro area is about 300. The actual city of Wilmington is not nearly as bad. They had 40 homicides in 2021. That is not bad for a major city. That dropped down to 17 in 2022, giving them a 50.57% drop. Bravo, Wilmington. Kind of proud of them, like a parent watching my child graduate from rehab for the 5th time. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. We'd love it if you went over there and watched some videos. It's all about things that happen on whatever date it is in history. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Providence, Rhode Island. Here's another city we never talk about. Providence, for some reason, they never show up on these lists. This is the first city that I really had where like teenagers from Providence were commenting and sending me emails about how hard they are. They're trying to get their street cred in a comment section on a YouTube video talking about how dangerous Providence is. Providence has some crime. Does it have Camden, New Jersey crime? No. Kansas City crime? No. East St. Louis? Absolutely not. They're considered average, and they're getting better. If you don't know where Providence is, it's a little southwest of Boston at the end of the Providence River. Providence, Rhode Island has a population of about 190,000 residents, with the entire metro area having 1.6 million. That's more than most people expect the entire state to have. In 2021, Providence had 23 murders. 3 of those coming in the last few days of that year. In 2022, they only had 9. That's a drop of 60.87%. Not bad. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.